Hey, robnoerr without the hat. Welcome to Normal America Show, special show. We got big news tonight. I don't know if you heard robnoerr, the special counsel that was looking in to Biden's mishandling of classified documents. He put his report out, and then Biden had an impromptu press conference. I'd like to go now live to that press conference. They're having a follow up. And the press is really grilling Joe Biden here. There's a lot of talk about Joe Biden's mental capacity and things like that in this report. So we'll get into that. But first, I thought we'd go to some hard hitting journalism, getting to that report. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here. Oh. Yeah. There you have it, everyone. Where were the signs? Could we have? Oh shit! The audio wasn't on again. Let's rehash that. You missed that. You missed that exciting, hard-hitting journalism. If only there were signs of Joe Biden's mental decay. Let's hear the hard-hitting press.
Mr. President, what did you order?
Chocolate chip.
Oh.
Mr. President, what is your message to Republicans who are prepared to block the January 6th commission?
Eat some chocolate chip.
Yeah. Good job, press. If only there were signs that our press had been able to pick up on. I don't know what to say. We'll get to some of the specifics here tonight. Good. There it is. Tale as old as time. Joe Biden has dementia, doesn't know where he is, and I continually forget that every time I restart my computer up, for some reason, my OBS has the default of desktop audio being muted. Ooh, I got it now. No more tech issues. Part of me thought of just clicking live stream and gut laughing for 15 minutes and just leaving. And then you start to think, we're on the cusp of World War III. What is there to even say? What can I say? What can you do in a moment like this? It's surreal. It's a surreal moment in time. You're sitting in the bath smoking a cigarette. Finally, someone knows how to relax. My poor lungs, if I even tried to smoke one cigarette. I smoked a cigar at my friend's place about 6 months ago. I don't drink much. We got a boxing pay-per-view. I drank maybe 3 beers and smoked a cigar, and I was hungover from the cigar. He was bad. Pisco. Where's Pisco been today? No, didn't have much to say. All right, now, full disclosure, I didn't read the whole document. I've read the excerpts from the document that are just absolutely damning for Joe Biden. I think that I could do a lot of I told you so's. Let's see what today has proven. I told you so on the bullshit political Colorado trying to take Trump off the ballot. Told you so how fucking stupid that didn't take a genius, right? Everyone in my chat could have told you so how partisan hackery that was, right? Whoops. Well, there goes the legal scholars on that one. Whoops. I told you so about Joe Biden having dementia. That wasn't a hard one to figure out. And yet, from even when I was debating leading into the 2020 election, how many times have I debated left-wing people and mentioned about Joe Biden's mental decline and had them say that's outrageous, there's no evidence, it's not true. The list goes on and on. I told you so about the Biden mishandling classified information, and I told you so about the double standards. See, the problem is when you beclown yourself and you're an ass for partisan reasons, and you continue to defend the most absurd, stupid positions over and over and over so that your side always gets victories. That might work as long as your side's in power. And make no mistake, their side is still in power. But inevitably, it becomes so ridiculous, the lies you're forced to tell, that you have moments like tonight, where a dementia-addled old man has to have an impromptu press conference that he could last for like 10 minutes as he yells and screams at people, claiming that he doesn't have mental declines, while simultaneously not remembering where he got his son's rosary from, walking halfway off the stage only to come back and declare about a conversation he was having with the president of Mexico about opening their border to people from Gaza. Literally in the same speech, you're yelling at people that you don't have mental decline. This happens to take place on the same night, simultaneously, where Tucker Carlson interviews Vladimir Putin, and it's made public, the interview, where Putin is giving a 2-hour-long history lesson. So you get a nice picture of the world leaders here. It's surreal. It really is surreal. And then all you can do, sit back and watch. Just go to the clips from CNN. I mean, you knew it was coming. As soon as Biden gave the speech, as soon as it's over. Well, we all misspeak sometimes. Sometimes we all misspeak. It's no big deal. But all of a sudden, all the people that were saying, oh, we got to trust the special counsel. Now you can find droves of them on the left. How dare Robert He's a Republican. Harump. Even he had no business saying Biden had difficulty recalling things. No business saying that. Harump. Let's just cut to brass tacks, the evidence I've seen that I personally read from the document that is the most damning thing. It's not just we'll just focus on one of the classified materials that Joe Biden had in the form of his notebook. It was a notebook from his time as vice president, which contained notes that were classified, which Joe Biden knew was classified. Herr says that not only did, you can't make this up. Let's start with this. What was the big evidence? What was the slam dunk when I debated left-wing people about the Mar-a-Lago raid and the case? What was the slam dunk that they said was absolutely devastating, proof positive that Trump committed a crime? Well, it was that he was talking to a writer and he held up a document and said, this is classified, you shouldn't even be able to look at it. That was it. That's recorded. We have that recorded. There's no getting out of that. In a situation that you literally couldn't make up if you tried. That's exactly what Joe Biden did. Exactly what Joe Biden did. Talking to his writer of his book, pulls out a classified notebooks, tells the writer that it's classified, proceeds several times on several audio recordings to then proceed to read the classified material to the writer. On tape, recorded him telling that writer, this is classified, and then proceeding to read the classified material. On tape, recorded. And Robert gives them a softball. They give him out. They said, well, and he's very, Herr proceeds to talk about it. He's like, look, it's absurd. Biden tries to make the argument, when I told him it was classified, I meant it was private. One, it doesn't matter because the evidence was classified. Second, that's not believable. Biden's someone who's known about these procedures for 40 years. Third, he literally says on tape, I probably shouldn't show you this. This is classified. That's different than saying this is private material. Herr says all of this in the indictment or in the paper. And yet he doesn't charge him with a crime. But there's no double standard. Remember, that was the big issue with Trump. It's on tape that he said this to a writer. But Herr says, well, we can't charge him because he's a doddering old man. A jury would be like, oh, look at poor Joe, he has dementia. That guy with the nuclear codes that's leading us into World War III, he's so sweet. The old Uncle Leo defense. If you're any Seinfeld fans out there, remember? Jerry finds out that his Uncle Leo and his parents steal batteries and things from a bookstore. And he's like, you can't steal. And they're like, we're old people. Everybody does it. And if we get caught, we just say, I'm an old man. I'm confused. That's Joe Biden. Joe Biden literally cannot be charged with any. It's funny, they make all these hypotheticals up. Talking about presidential immunity. How many times have you heard people on the left say this? Presidential immunity. Well, I guess that would mean if presidents have immunity, Joe Biden could order that his opponent be assassinated and he would have immunity from it. Now, there's an actual legal concept of presidential immunity. But the argument the Democrats are going with now is, yes, even if presidents don't have all-enticing immunity or all-encompassing immunity, Joe Biden would, because they could say he didn't know what he was doing. He has dementia. You want to know what the irony is? Did anybody watch last night for 3-4 hours as I proved how stupid Pisco is with the Jabal Bowman thing again? Thanks, Soup Slurper. Anybody see that? So part of why we were doing that was going to the meta conversation of why Pisco's bad faith and why stylistically how he argues and stuff like that. It's bullshit. So the entire Jabal Bowman conversation started around Pisco saying there were 3 possible scenarios that he could come up with of why Bowman pulled that fire alarm. Scenario 1, he pulled the alarm and didn't intend it to go off, but tried to do it to get out the door. Scenario 2, he pulled the alarm and did intend for it to go off to get out the door. And scenario 3, he pulled the alarm to cause a delay. Pisco immediately dispenses with scenario 1, says it's impossible. So then I'm like, okay, now we're dealing with scenarios 2 and 3, and we have video evidence that shows that the scenario you favored, scenario 3, is bullshit. And he kept saying, talking about the 2 scenarios that you outlined. And what he's trying to do is differentiate that there's other potential scenarios out there. So if we're just saying scenario A or B, sure, maybe it looks like one is more likely than the other, but no. The reason I picked those 2 was because those were the 2 that Pisco outlined as the most possible. I didn't arbitrarily pick 2 scenarios and said pick one. I picked his 2 scenarios. And I said, so stop trying to obfuscate as if there's other scenarios out there unless you got one. And Pisco made a ridiculous argument. And the argument Pisco made went something like this. Well, there is another possible scenario. You see, I talked to someone in my Discord and they made the argument. Have you ever just had a brain fart, basically? You just temporary lapse of judgment, didn't know what you're doing? In other words, there is no explanation. Sometimes accidents just happen. I'm like, yeah, but Pisco, this isn't an accident. He intentionally pulled the alarm. Yeah, but sometimes, How insane is it that literally the next day, Joe Biden's being left off the hook for basically that explanation? Sometimes you're just a psychotic old man. How could you charge this man? He doesn't know where he's at. But give him the nuclear codes. Vote for him again. It'd be like you have a taxi driver, an Uber driver, right? And he's running red lights and he's hitting bicyclists and shit like that. And the cops flash their lights and he's going 90 mile an hour, not stopping and, smacking pedestrians and knocking people out. And, all of a sudden the cops put up a roadblock and block them and they're, get out of the car. And they look, they're like, oh, it's an old man. We can't charge him with those crimes. Please, ma'am, get back in the car and leave him drive you now. You'd be like, dude, if he's so infirmed, you can't charge him with crimes. I ain't trusting him to drive me. No, it's okay. It's okay. He's crazy enough that we can't charge him, but just slightly not crazy enough that it's okay for you to trust your life to him. But the best part is, just like always, just like with they're comparing him to James Comey coming out and saying, I'm not going to charge Hillary, but James Comey reopening the investigation. You know how many times I've gone through that with people like Destiny. You see, when you control all of the institutions like the establishment Democratic Party does, you're infuriated when you lose even 1% of that control. That's why they were furious about Elon Musk buying Twitter. They weren't worried that Elon would censor them. They're worried that he would stop censoring their opposition. They have 90% control over the public conversation. They need 100. It's not fair if they don't have 100. Just like that. They literally just saw the double standard in action saying that Biden did exactly what the most damning thing Trump was accused of: mishandled classified information, and then intentionally showed it to someone while being recorded, admitting to that person that it was classified information. Cut and dry. And instead of the Democrats being like, and the media people, but I repeat myself, instead of them being like, all right, thanks, her. You got us out of a tight one there. Thanks for being a partisan hack. They're like, how dare he criticize Biden at all? How dare he? Of course he should have left Biden off the hook, but how dare he suggest that Biden might have memory issues? And that's what they're doing. They're attacking him. Can you believe it? This guy said Biden had memory issues. Biden, go get that fucker. Get up on stage right now. Get him. Biden's like, I was taking a nap. What? Get out there. Tell him. So because that starts yelling and screaming, how dare he ask about my son? I have a good memory. What the fuck? Ducey's the first one to ask. What about Pete questions your memory? I got a good memory. I called on you. I took a question from you. Ranting and pointing and screaming. And then he walks off stage. Then he comes back and tells us about the president of Mexico being on the border of Gaza. I like to give a special shout out to Joe Biden's handlers tonight. Imagine how this process went. Oh shit, this guy's got to give a press conference. Okay, Biden, we'll pre-write your speech for you, and we'll make it all about sympathy for your son and righteous indignation about someone asking about your son. By the way, this is a complete separate issue. I'm sick and tired of it. Maybe I could take the righteous indignation about Joe Biden's son dying once or twice, but when you're a fucking prick that lies about the cause of his death over and over for political expediency, and every time you talk to someone who lost a son tragically in our armed services, you say, yeah, my son too, which is a fucking lie. I'm sorry, I lose sympathy for your alleged righteous indignation. When it's convenient for Joe Biden, he'll trot out his dead son's name and make up bullshit stories about him. But how dare an investigator that's looking into him, that's talking about the time period when he was vice president, when his son was tragically lost, bring up that point and point out that, look, the reason I'm not charging this guy is he doesn't have a fucking memory. What's up, Cutsleeve? How you doing, sir? Oh yeah, Bleezers, the writer deleted evidence that her asked for. Her declined to charge. Again, Trump's team gave all the evidence back eventually, but they were accused of temporarily hiding it. Subpoenaing the ghostwriter of Biden, he deletes evidence, no problem. Hillary's team deletes evidence, no problem. The Rosary of Our Lady of... well, we can watch the little press conference if you want. I mean, it's incredible. He looks angry like a dementia patient would. He's confused. He's lost. He looks old. But imagine you're a handler. So you send him out there like, dude, just get through the pre-speech. Take one or two questions. We basically, you know what the questions are going to be. We have paper for you, what to say exactly to the questions. Go ahead. So he mungles through it. And you know that his handler's like, God, this isn't good. He looks so bad. This looks so bad. It's okay. It's okay. We can cover for it. We control almost all the press. We'll make sure that they're like, this wasn't that bad, blah, blah, blah. Biden starts walking off stage. Whew, they say. And then all of a sudden it happens. He stops. And he walks back to the stage. Can you imagine his handlers in that minute? They're like, okay, it's over. What's he doing? No. Oh, shit, no. Oh, dear God. No. Joe, Mr. Biden. No. Shit, he's going back. And he had to go back to land that zinger, didn't he? I talked to El-Sisi, the president of Mexico, about Gaza. Oh, my God. I mean, of course, the people that are involved in the handling of Joe Biden are globalist, corrupt scumbags. But you got to give his direct handlers a tip of the cap this evening. My goodness. My goodness. Yeah, I'm not going to be streaming, by the way. When I'm going to be on Tim Pool's show, it'll be live. I'll be in person. But yeah, it should be March 1st. I don't know James Fishback to my knowledge. So here's the take. Base level take. I put a tweet out that said that. This. Base level take. What this hurt. I mean, it's damning. It's damning. It literally says, it outlines the damning case. He had classified information. He said that it was classified. He's on tape saying it. He's then on tape telling his writer it's classified, then sharing and reading that classified material to his writer on tape. Why is he not prosecuted? Well, because a jury would look at him just like, oh, he's a sweet old man who doesn't know what he's doing. Base level take. Good for Democrats. It's good for Biden. Why is it good for Biden? Because he could say, okay, we had a special counsel, looked into it, I committed no crimes, moving on. It's always good to have, when you commit a crime, to have corrupt prosecutors and police officers let you off the hook. So base level take is good for Biden. Higher level take is good for Trump. The reason is because it's going to help Trump both politically and legally. It'll help him legally because he'll be able to talk about selective prosecution and about how these laws are being uniquely enforced against him. And when people do almost the exact same thing on the other side of the ledger, they're left off the hook. So it helps him legally. It certainly helps him even more politically because the people that were already upset and maybe on the fence thinking these are political prosecutions now see even better. And it helps him politically because anyone who's worried about cognitive ability for a president that saw tonight's press conference is like, holy shit. Joe Biden has lost it. But the highest level take is this. Tonight's very good for the Democrats. It stings tonight. It stings. It stings for the low-level people whose job is exclusively defend any shit sandwich that the Democrats put in front of you. Sucks for them tonight. They know they're clowns. They know they look bad tonight, but they don't give a shit. They're paid handsomely to be clowns. Most nights it's easier. Tonight it's tough. To have to look people straight in the face and go, I don't see a problem with what Biden did. And her's actually the bad guy here. And sure, Biden had a slip of the tongue. I don't see evidence of mental decline. It's got to, no matter how much you're getting paid, it has to suck in the moment to have to lie blatantly like that to people. But they're going to benefit in the long run because this is the end of Joe Biden. This is it. I would now put the chance of Joe Biden being the Democratic candidate at less than 10%. This is it. This both provides urgency to remove Biden, but it also provides cover to get rid of him. They're not going to use the 25th Amendment. That's not what's going to happen. They're going to tell Biden in private, okay, dude, you're gone. And they're not going to say, I haven't been doing the arena, Conboy. They're not going to say, well, yeah, we thought that he was cognitively declining. They'll come up with a sweet way to say it. He's a great man. He's got some health issues that he needs to take care of. Biden's going to come out and say, I'm going to take care of my family and my health issues. I think I put this country on a really great track, but I'm going to, take care of my family life and I'm going to support. And Biden's not going to want to go because he's an old man with dementia and he's going to get angry. But they're going to make it known to him. You got to go. Then we'll be looking at candidate Newsom or candidate Michelle Obama or maybe some other candidate that they know they could control. And maybe less than 10% is unfair. But we'll say 20%, less than 20%. I could be wrong, but that's my prediction. And I think at this point, any candidate, even Kamala Harris, is probably better than Joe Biden for the Democrats. The best Democrat to beat Trump, in my opinion. Well, that sort of depends. RFK. RFK would crush Trump. If it was just RFK versus Trump and he was the official Democrat. Because he would get enough independent, moderate, even DeSantis voters would vote for RFK over many of them over Trump. Democrats would just be voting against Trump, so even if they didn't like RFK, we'll look at the press conference if you want. Newsom brings something to the table. Michelle Obama brings something to the table. I think Michelle probably wins pretty convincingly. I don't know if she'll run. Michelle shouldn't run, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't like the Obamas. I don't. And I think Michelle, as a speaker, which is something that I happen to enjoy. That was basically what my college major was. I was a debater, degree in speech communication. I think Michelle Obama's speech at the DNC in 2016 was a phenomenal speech. It may have been better than any speech I ever heard her husband give. Now, it's pre-written. It's not off the cuff. And Michelle, I understand conservatives don't like Michelle Obama. And there's reasons that I wouldn't like her, things that she advocated for and stuff like that. But she's considered basically quite endearing on average, and I think considered a pretty impressive person. And if you put yourself out there as president, you might get exposed. That's what happened to Joe Biden. Does anyone remember the image of Joe Biden, the vice president? Where I'm from, rural America, where Obama wasn't that popular, Joe Biden was basically beloved. He was like the hapless sidekick. Yo, what's up, Barack? Want some pizza tonight? That was sort of the image that people around here had of Joe Biden. Oh, just old schmuck Joe Biden, a lovable dude, just the sidekick. Now look at him. Now look at him. Now that he's the guy in charge. Exposed. So if I'm Michelle Obama, no, maybe she's got the talent. Maybe she does. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't vote for her, and I hate what her and her husband stand for. But just being a talented politician, I don't know if she has it or not. But if she doesn't, I wouldn't put myself out there if I'm there and risk being exposed. Better to work behind the scenes. Gavin Newsom has political talent. He was out-debated by Ron DeSantis, but that's only part of it. Newsom looks and sounds like a politician. He's smooth. He's swarmy. It's better than an unlikable Trump that's a senior citizen. It'll matter to a lot of people. Kamala's very unlikable, but at this point, even she may outperform Joe Biden. I don't know. That's tough. Let's see if we can find the press conference. We'll dot her through it. Unless you want to watch the ice cream thing again. Chocolate chip. Oh my gosh. Jeez, oh man.
Yes, of course. Yeah, absolutely. We can slide this down and take more slides. It's all good.
Probably get my video removed here by playing this, but whatever. I've been talking about Michelle Obama as being a potential candidate for over a year as well.
Hey, buddy.
Look at that walk. Oh, man. There's a vibrant young
Let me say a
man.
few things before I take your questions. As you know, the special counsel released his findings today about their look into my handling of classified documents. I was pleased to see he reached a firm conclusion that no charges should be brought against me in this case. This was an exhaustive investigation going back more than 4.
You can even see him straining to read it. You see how he's, my eyes suck too, but it's just sad. Like, he just presents the image of a sad old man with dementia. We'll keep going. It gets worse.
40 years, even into the 1970s when I was still a new United States Senator. The special counsel acknowledged I cooperated completely. I did not throw up any roadblocks. I sought.
His ghostwriter deleted evidence that Herr was looking for, but sure, that's not specifically on Biden. Why wasn't the ghostwriter charged, though?
No delays. In fact, I was so determined to give the special counsel what he needed, I went forward with a 5-hour in-person interview over 2 days on October the 8th and 9th.
I would love to see that 5-hour interview. That tape should be released. Let's see how well Joe Biden performed in that interview. This guy struggles to get through 5 minutes. I would love to see him in his 5. We know it didn't go so hot because the guy that was doing the interview said this guy's got serious mental decline.
Of last year, even though Israel had just been attacked by Hamas on the 7th and I was very occupied. It was in the middle of handling an international crisis. I was especially pleased to see Special Counsel make clear the stark distinction and difference between this case and Mr. Trump's case. The Special Counsel wrote, and I quote, several material...
Geez, maybe not a good idea for the sitting president to be commenting on the ongoing investigation and criminality of his opposition if he's going to make the argument that he doesn't have a vested interest in steering the direction of his DOJ and special counsel. Just saying.
Distinctions between Mr. Trump's case and Mr. Biden's are clear, continuing to quote, most notably, after given multiple chances to return classified documents to avoid prosecution, Mr. Trump allegedly did the opposite. According to the indictment, he not only refused to return the documents for many months, he also obstructed justice by enlisting others to destroy evidence and then to lie about it. In contrast, he went on to say Mr. Biden turned in classified documents to the National Archives and the Department of Justice, consented to the search of multiple locations, including his home, sat for a voluntary interview, and in other ways cooperated with the investigation, end of quote. I've seen the headlines since the report was released about my willful retention of documents. These assertions are not only misleading, they're just plain wrong. On page 215, if you had a chance, I know it's a thick document. On page 215, the report of the special counsel found the exact opposite. Here's what he wrote. There is in fact a shortage of evidence that I willfully retained classified materials related to Afghanistan.
First off, that's only one of the things that he was accused of taking, and he does provide evidence that it could have been willful, but the conclusion was we don't have enough evidence that it was willful, but he did retain that information. However, that's not the case when it comes to the classified evidence in his notebook that he willfully retained, and Herr goes on to explain in great detail about how Biden's argument that, I didn't know it was classified. When I said classified, I meant private, not classified, how that's, in the words of Joe Biden, malarkey.
On page 12, the special counsel also wrote for another documents. The decision to decline criminal charges was straightforward. The evidence suggests that Mr. Biden did not willfully retain these documents. The evidence said I did not willfully retain these documents. In addition, I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that?
Hey, if I'm trying to convince people I don't have dementia, you know what I would do? Start cursing and yelling. He raised it because he found that to be evidence that this guy had mental deficiency. And if Biden had any integrity whatsoever, he would be kissing the ground that Robert Herr walked on by letting him off the hook, saying he's just a hapless old man that doesn't know where he's at. But instead, he's going to attack him. Now they're in the awkward position of Biden in this speech, and the Biden handlers are out there saying Biden doesn't have any mental deficiencies. Okay, then that proves that Robert Herr was incorrect when he said that he shouldn't be charged because he is lacking mental efficiencies. So then I guess to prove that Biden doesn't have the mental deficiencies, charge him?
Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, it wasn't any of their damn business. Let me tell you something.
Now, you might say that as a president or as a politician, bringing your children into things is none of their damn business. That is, unless you've used your children as political props, including in your criminal enterprise that Hunter Biden and your brother James Biden were involved in. Failing to register as foreign lobbyists to take money from hostile foreign nations, probably kicking that money back to Joe Biden. Nonetheless, Biden's the first person to put his family's names out there, including lying about the death of his son Joe Biden Beau Biden for political points. So nice to see him get on his high horse here. Yeah, he's clearly not well. You can see it gets worse. This is his pre-prepared speech. Wait until we get to the questions.
Something. Some of you have commented. I wear since the day he died. Every single day, the rosary he got from Our Lady of... Every Memorial Day we hold a...
strong memory. He wears that rosary from Our Lady of... and then can't remember. Sad. But trust him, he doesn't have a mental decline. Thanks, Gizmo.
Attended by friends and family.
Really appreciate
people
it.
Who loved him. I don't need anyone. I don't need anyone to remind me when he passed away or passed away. Simple truth is I sat for a 5-hour interview over 2 days of events going back 40 years. At the same time I was managing an international crisis, their task was to make a decision about whether to move forward with charges in this case. That's their decision to make. That's the council's decision to make. That's his job. And they decided not to move forward. For any extraneous commentary, they don't know what they're talking about. It has no place in this report. The bottom line.
So again, his argument is when Herr says he didn't charge me in part because I'm a dementia-addled old man, he's not qualified to say that. Cool, then Herr should come out and say, oh, okay, you're right. I guess I'll charge you. Again, Democrats are in the unenviable position of saying you can't charge Biden in part because he didn't know what he was saying because he's a confused old man, versus how dare you claim that Biden doesn't know what he's saying. There's nothing wrong with him until it comes to criminally charging him, and then you can't charge him because we can't take it. By the way, you're starting to see a pattern here. You starting to see it? Trump says peacefully protest. Democrats say, oh, don't take him at his word. He really meant violently protest. Jabal Bowman says, I didn't intend for the alarm to go off. Democrats say, oh, what he really meant to say was he did intend for the alarm to go off. Joe Biden said, I said, don't give him the money, quid pro quo. When I debated Destiny on this, he said, that's not what he really meant, though. We don't have proof that we could take him at his words. Joe Biden says these are classified materials to his ghostwriter. Democrats say, no. When he says classified, he doesn't mean classified. He actually means private. Starting to see a pattern here? Language doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the words that people actually use. All that matters is how Democrats can interpret it favorably to their side. That's it. If Trump's literal words are bad for Democrats, well, then his literal words don't matter. We can see the deep inside meaning. If Biden's literal words are bad for Democrats, then we don't trust his language. We say, no, we have to look deeper to a literal or beyond the literal meaning.
Line as a matter is now closed. I'm going to continue what I've always focused on, my job of being President of the United States of America. Thank you, and I'll take some questions.
Here we go. Now we get good.
President Biden, something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't need his recommendation.
He put this country back on his feet. He really does have a bad memory.
Totally. How bad is your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak.
Get that line? My memory is so bad, I let you speak. I believe, if I'm being generous here, he's saying because that's Peter Doocy, he's trying to make some sort of joke. Good look there, Biden.
That's
your memory has gotten worse, Mr.
No,
President?
my memory is not good. My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done.
Yeah, let's take a look at what you've done. Just this week, you said that you were talking to a politician in Germany that died in 1990, or in France that died in 96, and one in Germany that Cole that's not been there since like the 2000s or something. Just this week. And by the way, let's take the Democrat position in Steelman. He's going to say, I've done a lot of good things as president. How does that prove that your memory's not failing? For example, do you think he's personally writing the bills that are coming out of his administration? No. So, and by the way, he's not doing a good job, as I've debated successfully many times. Thanks for the super chat, Bandy. He says, what are the odds he gives the I will not exploit for political reasons my opponent's youth and inexperience Reagan line during the debate? That would actually be sort of clever, and he would butcher it if he tried, but he won't do it.
Since I become president. None of you thought I could pass any of the things I got passed. How'd that happen? You know, I guess I just forgot what was going on.
Mr. President,
I mean, imagine how poor of a track record Biden has and bragging, oh, how did I do that? Boom, mic drop. Our shitty economy, our porous border, fentanyl deaths, on the cusp of World War III. If I have a memory problem, how did I accomplish all of that great shit? What? What are you talking about? It's unbelievable.
President,
Voters have concerns about your age. How are you going to assuage them? And do you fear that this report is only going to fuel further concerns about your age?
Only by some of you.
Mr. President.
Voters are concerned about your age. Do you think that this report will fuel concerns? It should. And by the way, the proof's in the pudding, because if they didn't think that they would have had concerns about his age, he wouldn't have been up here doing a press conference talking in large part about his age. So it's clear that they know this is a weakness with voter. And you can see, by the way, Biden is getting worse with being antagonistic to journalists. Remember, people were concerned about Tucker interviewing Putin. Our own press is so softballing every time they talk to Biden, with the exception of like one or two people. He literally, you can see all the time, he literally has who to call on and exactly what the question will be and stuff like that. Literally, the press has been as easy as possible on him. After the Trump presidency, when they were all as hard as possible on Trump, right? So the direct comparison is stark, you know? And yet still, Biden gets incredibly hostile anytime they ask him the most basic of question that's antagonistic. But he's been like this even from when he was running in 2020. Remember when he challenged that guy? You got a dog-faced pony soldier, challenge him to push-up contest, blah, 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 yelling at people that they're liars. He's always been like that. It's just the press has let him get away with it.
Criminal liability today, Mr. President. Do you take responsibility for at least being careless with classified material?
I take responsibility for not having seen exactly what my staff was doing. It goes in and points out things that appeared in my garage, things that came out of my home, things that were moved not by me, but my staff.
Look at him. Look, he looks like he's about to break down. There he is. There's the guy leading us into World War III. There he is, folks. The buck stops with me. I mean my staff. It's all their fault. I didn't do anything wrong.
Mr. President,
Look how confused he
When you
looks.
were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, "Watch me." Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
They express concerns about your mental acuity.
See him? That's your judgment. Yelling. She said Americans are saying, and they do, polling shows over and over, Americans have a problem. Even Democrats have a problem with Joe Biden's age and his mental acuity, right? And notice, not only does he yell at her, that is your problem. That is your problem. That is not, listen to what he says. She says, people think this. Then listen to what he says.
Mr. President, for months when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, "Watch me." Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
That is not the judgment of the press. See, as long as the press covers for him, then Biden's good. That wasn't the question, sir. The question was, the American people, not the press, not this individual reporter, have concerns about your age. He says, I don't give a shit. Most of the press covers for me, as he's yelling at this lady.
They express concerns about your mental acuity. They say that you are too old. Mr. President, in December, you told me that you believe there are many other Democrats who could defeat Donald Trump. So why does it have to be you now? What is your answer
Because
to
I'm
that
the most
question?
qualified person in this country to be president of the United States and finish the job I started.
They're laying the groundwork. He's not going to be the candidate.
Why are you confusing the names of world leaders?
Thank you, everyone.
I did not share classified information. I did not share it.
With your ghostwriter.
With my ghostwriter, I did not. Guarantee you did not.
But the special counsel said in the
Well, no,
report
they
that he
did not say that.
Okay.
They did not say that.
But Mr. President, one other.
Let me answer your question.
Now you hear him yelling again. They said a ghostwriter, the special counsel said you shared classified information with the ghostwriter. He says, no, I did not. No, I did not. Let's see if I can find this real quick. There's evidence that after his vice presidency, Biden willfully retained marked classified documents about Afghanistan and unmarked handwritten notes in his notebook, both of which he stored in unsecured places. In his interview with Art says Biden's memory is worse. He did not remember when he was vice president, forgetting his first day of the interview, and forgetting the second day of the interview when his term began. He did not remember within several years when his son died. I thought it was technical post. Maybe it's under replies. In a recorded conversation, remember, he said that he did not say, the special counsel did not say that Biden shared classified information with his ghostwriter. There's evidence that Mr. Biden willfully retained the classified Afghanistan documents. In a recorded conversation on February 16, 2007 at Mr. Biden's rental home in Virginia, he told Mr. Zwansitzer, who's his ghostwriter, that Biden had just found all of the classified stuff downstairs. Photos of the Virginia home showed the lowest level downstairs where Biden had told Zwansitzer he just found the classified stuff, including rooms that Mr. Biden used as work and storage spaces. This evidence provides grounds to believe that Mr. Biden willfully retained classified documents about Afghanistan. That wasn't even the part that I'm looking for. Oops. There's evidence when Mr. Biden left office in 2017, he willfully retained his classified notebooks. That is, he knew he kept classified information in the notebooks stored in his house, and he knew he was not allowed to do so. There's also evidence that Biden willfully disclosed classified information in his notebooks to his ghostwriter by reading him aloud. In Mr. Biden's written answer for questions, he called into question whether he knew the information was classified. In those answers, Biden explained that when he described the materials in his notebooks to Zwansitzer as classified, he did not actually mean classified. The explanation that classified does not mean classified is not credible. At the time Biden met with Zwansitzer, Biden had nearly 50 years of experience in dealing with classified information, so he knew what he was talking about. So yes, he could say that the special counsel was wrong in that he shared classified documents, but his claim here is that the special counsel never said that. Listen.
Mr. President, for months when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, concerns about your mental acuity.
President of the United States and finish the job I started.
Do you believe that, guys? Why are you confusing the names of world leaders?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
I did not share classified information. I did not share it.
With your ghostwriter.
With my ghostwriter, I did not. Guarantee you did not.
But the special counsel said in the
no,
report
they
that he
did not say that.
Yes, they did. And I'll show you more. That is exactly what they said he did. So Biden is lying right here.
He did not say that.
But Mr. President,
Let me answer your question. The fact of the matter is, what I didn't want repeated, I didn't want him to know, and I didn't read it to him, was I had written a long memorandum to President Obama why we should not be in Afghanistan. And I was of this multiple pages. And so what I was referring to, I said classified. I should have said it should be private because it was a contact between the president and the vice president as to what was going on. That's what it is referring to. It was not classified information in that document.
It's not true. One, special counsel says the information was classified. Second, he says that Biden specifically told the ghostwriter it was classified. Third, he says that Biden's excuse that when I used the term classified, I didn't really mean classified is garbage, that he knew that it was classified. And he gives an exact quote where he says, I shouldn't be showing you this. It's classified. That is recorded. Almost the exact thing verbatim they're accusing Trump of doing and saying it's evidence of a crime.
That was not classified.
He called on me. when you look back at this incident, is there anything you would do differently now? And do you think that a special prosecutor should have been appointed in the first place in both of these cases?
First of all, what I would have done is oversee the transfer of the material that was in my office, in my offices. I should have done that. If I go back, I didn't have the responsibility to do that. That was my staff was supposed to do that, and they referenced that in the report. And my staff did not do it in the way that, for example, I didn't know how half the boxes got in my garage until I found out staff gathered them up, put them together, and took them to the garage in my home. And all the stuff that was in my home was in filing cabinets that were either locked or able to be locked. It was in my house. It wasn't out in, like in Mar-a-Lago, in a public place where, and none of it was high classified. Didn't have any.
It's interesting that you should say that. So in Mar-a-Lago, it's definitely a more secure facility. For example, in Joe Biden's home, where classified documents were found next to his sports car, his crackhead son was there, who, oh, by the way, was lobbying hostile foreign powers and getting incredibly rich doing so. In fact, someone sent me something on Twitter earlier that I'm looking into. There was this very specific email that Hunter Biden in April of 2014 sent to Devin Archer about Burisma in Ukraine. And it was different than most of the emails that Hunter Biden would send. That was just like 1 or 2 sentences. This one outlined like 22 or 23 points about the direction politically that Ukraine was going to be heading in the next year or two. Almost like he read a report that suggested that. Where did he get all of this detailed information?
That red stuff on it, you know what I mean, around the corners? None of that. And so I wish I had paid more attention to how the documents were being moved and where. I thought they were being moved to the archives. I thought all of it was being moved. That's what I thought. Now, what was the last part of your question?
You didn't think his notebook was
should have
being
been appointed in this case and in the case of your rival president, former president?
I think a special counsel should have been appointed. And the reason I think a special counsel should have been appointed is because I did not want to be in a position that they looked at Trump and weren't going to look at me, just like they looked at the vice president. And the fact is they made a firm conclusion. I did not break the law, period. Thank you all very, very much.
Now, get ready. As bad as this all was, get ready, right? His handlers are like, okay, that's bad, but we can get through this, right? Okay, no problem. Now watch this. He starts to leave. No, don't do it, Joe. Just amble off the stage. It's bedtime, Joe. Don't do it. Don't do it, Joe. Look at him. He's going to fuck it up. Joe, don't do it.
The hostage negotiation, look.
Oh, there it is. Uh-oh. Get ready for the stinger. Now, as bad as this... Remember, this whole thing's about Biden proving to the American people he doesn't have any mental problems. Here we go.
I'm of the view, as you know, that the conduct of the response in Gaza,
this guy's sharp as a tack. Thank God he's leading us into World War III. Look at this impressive performance. Here we go.
The Gaza Strip has been over the top.
Yeah, pretty sharp there.
I think that as you
lot of big pauses here when he's not going off script, huh?
know, initially the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up.
I'll play this again for you. As we're talking about why didn't Egypt open up borders to Gazan citizens? Let's hear how Joe Biden puts it.
Has been over the top. I think that, as you know, initially the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian.
Sisi's the president of Egypt, but let's take him at his word. Mexico wouldn't open their borders to Gaza. All right, he just misspoke. It just happens to be in a speech where he's saying that he doesn't have mental decline. In the same week that he claimed he was talking to a French and German politician that haven't been there for 30 years. It'd be one thing if this is the only time he did it.
Material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate. I talked to Bibi to open the gate on the Israeli side. I've been pushing really hard to get humanitarian assistance into Gaza. There are a lot of innocent people who are starving, a lot of innocent people who are in trouble and dying, and it's got to stop, number one. Number two, I was also in a position that I'm the guy that made the case that we have to do much more to increase the amount of material going in, including fuel, including other items. I've been on the phone with the Qataris, I've been on the phone with the Egyptians, I've been on the phone with the Saudis to get as much aid as we possibly can into Gaza. There are innocent people, innocent women and children who are also in badly in need of help. And so that's what we're pushing. And I'm pushing very hard now to deal with this hostage ceasefire because, I've been working tirelessly in this deal. How can I say this without revealing it? To lead to a sustained pause in the fighting, in the actions taking place in the Gaza Strip. And because I think if we can get the delay for that,
I see a delay occurring.
Delay,
I do see a delay.
I think that we would be able to extend that so that we could increase the prospect that this fighting in Gaza changes. There's also negotiations. You may recall, in the very beginning, right before Hamas attacked, I was in contact with the Saudis and others to work out a deal where they would recognize Israel's right to exist, make them part of the Middle East, recognize them fully in return for certain things that the United States would commit to do. And the commitment that we were proposing to do related to two items. I'm not going to go in detail, but one of them was to deal with the protection against their arch enemy to the northwest, northeast, I should say. The second one, by providing ammunition and material for them to defend themselves. Coincidentally, that's the time frame when this broke out. I have no proof what I'm about to say, but it's not unreasonable to suspect that the Hamas understood what was about to take place and wanted to break it up before it happened.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to need everybody to hold for a moment.
There you have it. What can you say? But the press has gaslit us. The Democrats have gaslit us. The people have debated. There was no border crisis, and now there is a border crisis, and it's Trump's fault. Biden didn't have mental decline. Well, now he has mental decline, which is one of the reasons we can't charge him. Page 223. Chapter 12. Analysis of the evidence, the classified notebooks. There's evidence. Oh, God damn. What happened? Why is this being so bad? There's evidence that when Mr. Biden left office in 2017, he willfully retained his classified notebooks. That is, he knew he kept classified information in notebooks stored in his house, and he knew he was not allowed to do so. Geez, doesn't sound like it was just his staff, huh? There's also evidence that Mr. Biden willfully disclosed classified information in his notebooks to his ghostwriter by reading it aloud to him. We conclude that this evidence does not establish his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. We therefore decline prosecution. First, willful intent. There is evidence that Mr. Biden retained the classified notebooks knowing he was not allowed to do so. As with the Afghanistan documents, there's evidence that Mr. Biden kept his notebooks after his vice presidency, knowing that they were classified and he was not allowed to have them. The evidence shows convincingly that Mr. Biden knew the notebooks as a whole contained classified information. For 8 years, he wrote in his notebooks about classified information during classified meetings in the White House Situation Room and elsewhere. He was familiar with the notebook's contents, which included obviously classified information. When reviewing the notebooks with his ghostwriter Robnoerr, Mr. Biden sometimes read aloud classified notes verbatim. So Biden wrote the classified material himself, knew that it was classified, and then read aloud the classified material to someone without a security clearance. Things that when Trump's accused of doing, they say is the best evidence that he obviously had intent to commit a crime. But it's different here. Hashtag it's different. He also sometimes appeared to skip over classified information, and he warned Robnoerr that the material in the notebooks could be classified. He actually told him it could be classified material. He knew it was classified and told Robnoerr it could be classified. Mr. Biden also stored the notebooks in a classified safe in the White House when he was vice president because he knew the notebooks were classified. So when he was vice president, they were put in a safe because he knew they were a classified safe because he knew where they were classified. So he knew the information was classified. He took it anyways, knowing that it was a crime to do so. Then he knowingly read the classified material, which he admitted to the ghostwriter that it was classified. But it gets worse. In Mr. Biden's written answers to questions from our office, he called into question whether he knew the information in his notebooks was classified. In those answers, Biden explained that when he described the material in his notebooks to Robnoerr as classified, he did not actually mean classified. Isn't that convenient how words never have meaning to the Democrats? According to Mr. Biden, quote, I may have used the word classifier with Mr. Robnoerr in a generic sense to refer not to the formal classification of national security information, but sensitive or private topics to ensure that Robnoerr would not write about them. Mr. Biden qualified this answer by explaining, quote, I do not recall the specific conversation you referenced with Robnoerr, which took place more than 6 years ago. This explanation that classified does not mean classified is not credible. At the time Mr. Biden met with Robnoerr, Mr. Biden had nearly 50 years of experience dealing with classified information, including as a member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, a member of the chairman of the Senate Committee Judiciary, and a member of the Committee on Foreign Relations, Vice President of the United States. It's not plausible that a person of his knowledge or experience used the term classified in this context as a euphemism for private. Mr. Biden's explanation is even less credible in light of the actual words to Robnoerr. As described below, among the times Biden spoke to Robnoerr about the classified information was when Mr. Biden handed Robnoerr a notebook entry about a National Security Council meeting in the Situation Room and asked if Robnoerr could read Mr. Biden's handwriting. Mr. Biden warned Robnoerr, quote, some of this may be classified, so be careful, and added, I'm not sure, it isn't marked classified, but, ... This is not a reference to merely private material. In this context, when a former official of Mr. Biden's stature and experience warns someone without a security clearance to be careful because some of the information may be classified and then refers to marked classified material, the former official is talking about classified national security information. The evidence shows that Mr. Biden knew his notebooks contained such evidence or information. There's also evidence that Mr. Biden knew he could not keep classified handwritten notes unsecured at his home. Where do I want to go? Did I want to keep going down? He knew that the purpose was for national security. He knew after leaving office that that was the purpose from statements he's made. Mr. Biden had strong motivations to ignore the proper procedures for safeguarding classified information. He decided months before leaving office to write a book and began meeting with his ghostwriter while still vice president. After his vice presidency, the notebooks continued to be an invaluable resource that he consulted liberally. During hours of recorded interviews in which he read aloud from his notebooks in private home, Mr. Biden provided raw material to his ghostwriter detailing meetings and events that would be of interest to prospective readers and buyers of the book. He also likely viewed the notebooks, like the marked classified documents related to Afghanistan, as irreplaceable contemporaneous record of some of the most important moments of his vice presidency. I'm looking for one particular. At least 3 times, Mr. Biden read classified notes from national security meetings to Swanson verbatim. The first 2 incidents involved the same notebook passage. On February 16, 2017, Mr. Biden appeared to explain to Swanson that a notebook entry related to a long meeting at the Security Council, it was probably classified. Mr. Biden had skipped over this entry entirely during a recorded conversation with Swanson several months earlier. But during the February 16, 2017 recorded conversation, Mr. Biden read aloud to Swanson portions of the notebook that contained the classified information. Now, let me repeat what that's saying there. One point he's reading it, and he says, I got to skip this. It's classified. Thank you, Creeper. But then the next time he's with the ghostwriter, he reads it and includes the classified information. And it's recorded. It's recorded. But we're not going to charge him with the crime. Just for a second, I always say these things like, imagine if Trump had used unverified opposition resources to spy on his opponents with FISA. Imagine that, right? We don't have to imagine in this situation. I could ask you, imagine if Trump allegedly is on video or audio saying these are classified, waving it in front of people and talking about it to people that don't have clearances to read it. Imagine if that. Oh, wait, that's exactly what the Democrats have been screaming about for the past year. There was evidence of a crime. But when Biden does it, they're like, well, maybe he didn't know exactly. He's kind of an old man with dementia. So, yeah. Is it the most, it's right up there with as blatant of an example of double standard as you could see. It's like charging Paul Manafort for failing to register as a foreign lobbyist and allowing the Podesta group that he was working with, instead of charging them, to allow them to retroactively file paperwork. Because one's Democrat and one's connected to Trump. One connected to Trump gets the book thrown in him. Democrat retroactively files paperwork. Same thing here. Oh, both disclosed on record. We have recordings of them claiming, here's classified material. Except it's even worse with Biden because he read the material aloud. He didn't just wave the notebook and say, there's classified shit in here, I shouldn't even be talking about it. He literally verbatim read the classified material aloud. After he acknowledged that he knew it was classified. And it's recorded. Red 5 MCO, thank you very much on Kick, says, maybe we should call them both out for mishandling classified documents. Sure. What's your concern? My concern's not Trump or Biden. My concern is that we have a 2-tiered system that, as Chuck Schumer said, that we have intel agents and premier law enforcement agencies that are operating under the executive branch that put their thumb on the scale in tandem with mainstream media and other institutions to go after political opponents of theirs. I really don't give 2 shits about Donald Trump or Joe Biden. I give a shit about the fact that there's a 2-tiered system that's influencing our politics and that's so corrupt that it means that the people's voice doesn't matter. So yes, I understand it is a common argument. As I predicted, this is one of the, I'm not saying you're doing this, I don't know you, but one of the things the people that have argued with me for years that there's not a double standard, one of the things they routinely do when I'm able to definitively prove beyond a reasonable doubt that there is something that should have been charged from an FBI agent or from a Democrat or something like that. Inevitably, this is what they'll fall back on. Okay, then I guess you should have charged them. Maybe Hillary should have been charged. Right. I don't care if Hillary was charged or not necessarily. I care why didn't the FBI charge her, but they did charge Trump? Why didn't they charge the Podesta group, but they did charge Manafort? Why did they charge Trump with mishandling classified information, but not Joe Biden? That's what I care about. The real villain in this story isn't Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Ultimately, I'll tell you right now, I'll say the same, and people can't say I'm inconsistent. Ask anyone here. Have I not said that I probably think Hillary Clinton shouldn't have been charged with her server? Have I not said that? I have been consistent in saying that. I said, even though by the letter of the law she probably broke the book, I actually think that it's quite common in DC for people to mishandle classified information. That was my claim with Hillary Clinton. It's the same claim I made with Donald Trump. And it's the claim I'll make with Joe Biden as well. Is it shitty? Yeah. Should we enforce the crime more? Maybe we should. But in the current atmosphere, do I think we should arbitrarily pick out one or two people when hundreds, if not thousands of people are doing it? Probably not. But it's not my precedent that matters. I'm not the one who's got the power to do things about it. And the precedent's been set. We do charge people for those things. We charge Trump. Okay. Who's he running against? Biden? Cool. He did the same thing. Charge him. Oh, wait, now it's different? Okay, well, maybe they should have charged both. Right, but they're not. So explain to me why not. Clearly, another example of the two-tiered system at places like the FBI, DOJ, law enforcement in DC. And the media will go right along with it. That's my opinion. I don't give a shit about Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And by the way, I'm not the biggest fan of, obviously, of Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. But I'm not the type of malicious person wishing death on people or anything like that. But let's be honest, in 20 years, they'll probably all three be dead. Just because they're older. It's just, unfortunately, a fact of life. Unless we get nanomachines or like Dick Cheney's robotic heart or some shit like that. You know, they'll probably all be gone. But the FBI will still be there. Our mainstream media that works in tandem with them still be there. Corporations that manipulate social media and algorithms, they're still going to be there. CIA, still going to be there. NSA, still be there. If those agencies, the people that are politicians come and go, even the people at those agencies come and go, but if those agencies are acting corruptly, so much to the point where the chief opposition of the incoming president, Chuck Schumer, says, whoa, Trump, you can't criticize the FBI. They'll find 6 ways of Sunday at getting back at you. And there's historical context. Ask MLK. Look at the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover and how he was going after politicians. It's what the FBI's always been. So I'm not persuaded by the, okay, well then charge both of them. Okay, that would have been fine if that's what they decided to do. But that's not what they're doing. So if your take is, I guess they should charge both of them, then my question to you is, why are you okay with the FBI not doing it? If you think both should be charged and only one's being charged, then surely you'll admit there's a problem. If I say both should be charged, or if you say that, I might disagree with you, but okay, at least that's a consistent position. If you say neither should be charged, you might disagree, but okay, at least it's a consistent position. And I would argue what Joe Biden did was worse, because there's at least legal theories with Donald Trump that as president, he had the ability to declassify this stuff. Joe Biden, as vice president, did not have that authority. There is no legal question to that. It's quite clear that he knew this stuff was classified. He told the ghostwriter he knew it was classified, and he intentionally read the classified material to him. That's cut and dry, and we have an audio recording of it. But he's an old man, so we can't charge him. Now, something that's important to say. Have fun tonight. After this, if you want to laugh, go to Twitter, go to like pages where you can see clips from CNN and MSNBC. Watch them making clowns of themselves tonight. Actually, that press conference wasn't that bad. Joe Biden doesn't have any problems with his mental faculties. Oh, he didn't do anything wrong. The classified, Trump's worse. Trump's terrible, but they were good not to charge it. The special counsel, is terrible for bringing this stuff up. He's a Republican. This is terrible, blah, 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 blah. You can listen to all that. Or you can listen to the slightly smarter people like Pisco that's just not commenting tonight because he doesn't know what to say. He's going to formulate the talking points and get on board with them before you can figure out what to say. Bad day for Pisco. His court case fell apart in oral arguments. Then the her thing blows up in his face. And now Biden's press conference, another epic fail. But understand what's going to happen. They're eventually going to cut ties with Biden. And then they'll act like it's all over. Forget about that chapter. Forget about the fact that we gaslit you for 3 years that there was no signs of mental decline with him. Forget about that. And now trust us when we talk about this. Here's Gavin Newsom. Trust us in all the great stuff we say about him. We're the mainstream press. No. He didn't have a court case. Oral arguments in the Colorado court case occurred today, and it was a disaster for the people trying to remove Trump from the ballot. Just like they told us for 3 years, there's no crisis at the border. No crisis at the border. Crisis at the border, what are you talking about? It's unbelievable. I talked about this to Ian today. It's so blatant. The gaslighting is so blatant and so frequent and so obvious at this point. They just go from day to day. Democrats, we on the left never said defund the police. What are you talking about? Defund the police? Whoever said that? What? Please. Democrats, we'd never question the results of elections. Please. We'd never do that. Trump attacking judges is bad. Democrats, we never attack judges. We wouldn't do that. Political violence is deplorable. We would never defend or ignore political violence. We never did that. What are you talking about? Huh? We called out the violence, the George Floyd. Yeah, we were calling it out the whole time. Yeah, we did. That's what they're going to do here. That's what they'll do. Huh? What do you mean that we lied and said Biden didn't have mental decline? We don't know how bad his mental decline. We never did that. We called it balls and strikes. We called it right down the middle. We were tough on Biden. All that chapter, all that Biden. By the way, if getting rid of Biden, think of all the energy that's been invested in proving the corruption of him and his family. It'll just go away. Forget about that. Here's Gavin Newsom. And it'll work. Newsom will win. This is why I keep trying to tell people it's not about the individual politician. They could throw Biden in jail tomorrow. Here's the evidence of his crimes. He was connected to his son. He did take bribes from Zlochevsky. Here's the evidence. He's in jail. We're charging him. It wouldn't change anything. They would replace that figurehead with another one and then act like, oh yeah, we never said, whatever, Biden's gone, so none of that matters. Forget about the fact we ran cover for him for 10 years. Forget about that. Now we're on to this next guy. Whatever. Epstein, right. Bill Clinton, right. Hashtag believe all women. Really? Where were you when Juanita Broderick was accusing Bill Clinton of rape? I know where James Carville was when he was talking about, who was it? Catherine Willey, he said. This is what you get when you drag $20 through a trailer park. That was his take on one of the women that was accusing Bill Clinton of sexual improprieties. It's what you get when you drag $20 through a trailer park. That dude still gets trotted out on MSNBC and CNN as a big Democrat strategist. Hashtag believe all women. E. John Carroll, we believe her. Tara Reid, who? Who's that? And then 10 years from now, they'll be like, oh, we took Tara Reid seriously. Absolutely. Believe all women. Now this new woman that's accusing this new Republican. SCOTUS did not say, they did not have a decision. They haven't ruled yet. That ruling will come out at a later date. But they had oral arguments. So you could listen to the hearing today. And it was a disaster for the side. You could just tell by the questions that even the Democratic justices were asking. I don't know. It'll be, at worst, it'll be a 7-2. It might be an 8-1 or a 9-0, though, which is devastating for the people like Pisco and all the legal scholars and experts that said this was a good court case. It was always a joke. Always. But it doesn't matter. It's just about grabbing the headlines and smearing Trump politically. What's up, True Legend? Like, for example, Trump's probably not going to win Colorado anyways. So it was never about just keeping him off the ballot in Colorado. It was about staging a political narrative. This guy's been they're trying to kick him off the ballot in states because he engaged in insurrection and blah, 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 blah. Well, that's one of the questions, Slippery, that's coming up. Do the states have the right to kick people for federal office off a ballot, like a president? And that's sort of one of the areas that the Supreme Court seemed to be getting at with their questions. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. You just laugh at this shit. I mean, you just laugh at it. I thought the interview, people should check out my interview. There's one bad thing with my interview with Ian Crossland. Like a boomer, like always, I forgot that I had my desktop audio muted. So the first 3 or 4 minutes of it, Ian's talking, but you can't hear him. You just hear my response. But we cleared that up pretty early. I really enjoyed my interview with Ian. Thought it went very well. You can check it out on my channel or his. Yeah, Papa Prop, I saw that Vosh accidentally had a folder of his porn leak while he hit the wrong button and it showed up on his channel. And apparently it had illicit pictures of animated horses, at least unless that's been photoshopped. Regardless, either I would say the most likely scenarios are that leak was real, wasn't pre-planned, but it was photoshopped with the horse stuff, or Vosh did it as a joke to get people talking. That's my guess. I don't really give a shit about Vosh. He's a joke. But it's probably a big har hee hee. I got people talking about me. Great. Thank you. I appreciate it, Bandit. I really do. The horses were photoshopped. Yeah, I figured something like that. I don't really care. I could care less about it. But I mean, I'll wrap up here. I'm not going to be here all night again. But you know, what is there to say? All you could do is have sort of a gallows humor. Like, I'm going to say something people might not like. Key Lime's, as much as I disagree with some of Key Lime's absolute dog shit takes, and Key Lime holds the record, probably not just on my channel, but on any channel for the most times banned and then brought back. He's probably the only person in this chat that will respect what I'm about to say. All right, you ready? Is this the best we could do? Donald Trump versus Joe Biden? This is it? This is the best we got? And I say that as someone who supports Trump, by the way. What Trump represents is important to me. But how many times am I going to beat my head off the wall having to come on and answer questions about the next oh, Trump came out today and said Bud Light's great. Oh, Jesus. Trump said, why don't we just invade them and take their oil? Trump said, who gives a shit about the Constitution? What he stands for, being a thorn in the side of the establishment. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. You'd probably be scratching your head at stupid shit I say if I was elected president, too. It's in the nature of the beast, I guess. But, oh, my God. I mean, it's almost as bad as professional wrestling. Key Lime's your hero, Sparky. Yeah. Sparky would agree with me. I don't think Sparky's the biggest fan of Trump. It might be the candidates we deserve. Yeah, I always preferred Miller Lite to Bud Light, but yeah, tainted. There's more to why people like Trump than that. I've explained it. I think that certainly his celebrity nature is part of it, but it's not that he was a great guy. It's that he finally was seen by people that thought that no one in this country had remotely spoken for them in a position of power, not politically, not culturally. There were good people, like Ron Paul was my jam. Ron Paul's still my favorite politician, right? But Ron Paul wasn't going to fire up my family that's never voted in rural Pennsylvania. He wasn't that type of guy. He didn't arise that sort of charisma and passion in sort of a certain type of people. He did for some types of people, younger people like me, he did, but I could understand my dad not getting into Ron Paul. People that work their finger to the bone 9 to 5 that think that culture doesn't give a shit about them. That no politics care about them. That everybody's just waiting for them. There's this song I like. By the way, this band ended up being super liberal, but I don't give a shit. I had this argument on a Discord call the other day. I take out of art what I choose to take out of it. And if the artist disagrees with me, fuck them. I don't care. That's my stage. That doesn't mean I'm right. Right? So if I watch a movie, if I watch The Matrix and say, oh, you know, this is what I got out of The Matrix. Here's some things that I think have helped me in life that came from The Matrix. And you say, actually, The Matrix is woke. The Wachowskis are both trans now, and it was an allegory for their journey into the trans. Whatever, I don't give a fuck. I'll still say red pill, blue pill. Yeah, how about that? What you gonna do? Nothing. Anyway, so there's this song by this band, the Drive-By Truckers. They have a lot of good songs. But one of the songs I think about is this song called Bob. And basically, it's about this guy who's not married, who doesn't have friends. He just has dogs. I can't remember the chorus. It's sang by Chris Cooley, though. But the chorus says, Bob still got an antenna on the pole. 2 channels come in, 2 more come and go. He used to watch the news, but he don't anymore. Ain't none of it's new. It's the same as before. He feels all any of it's any good for is keeping everybody bored till there ain't nobody like Bob anymore. I know people that live like that. They feel everybody's just waiting for me to die. You know, another song that kind of has that message, the song Dinosaur by Hank Williams Jr., that a friend of mine actually wrote that song. You know, the song Dinosaur, it's more funny than that, but it's basically talking about I don't fit in here anymore. In fact, I'd probably get a video removed for playing the song Dinosaur because he said, what's the lyrics go in that song? He says, hey, man, that ain't... God, now I gotta look up those lyrics. I have the song in my head. There it is. He says, hey, man, them ain't high-heel sneakers, and they sure don't look like cowboy boots. And that ain't rock and roll you're playing, and it sure ain't country, rhythm, or blues. You're singing a song about making love to your drummer. Well, gay guitar pickers just don't turn me on. And we don't all get into Donna Summers. Do you happen to know any old Hank Williams songs? And then the chorus is, because I'm a dinosaur, I should have died out a long time before. Like, that's how people in my area of the world live. That's how they feel. The world's passed us by. It's this fucking crazy, insane place. No one in any position of power gives a shit about me. Everybody's just waiting for me to die. And they might have family or church and things like that care about them. But when it comes to our national level culture and politics, no one gives a shit. No one. At all. No one even pretends to give a shit. No one cares. Shut up and go back to work to your 9 to 5 and stop complaining till we force you out of your job with regulations. And then shut your fucking mouth anyways. You can think it's right or wrong, but I'm telling you that's how people felt. It was palpable. And then in comes Trump. And you could agree or disagree with Trump. You could think he's a charlatan, he's a bullshitter, he's a liar. I'm telling you, he resonated with people. Not because he was particularly a genius or anything like that, because he talked like them. He had this sort of fuck you attitude, and he seemed to suggest that he gave a shit about these people and that they added something of value. They were great people. And I'm telling you, there are people to this day that will crawl over fucking broken glass that I know to vote for Donald Trump. Why? What policy did he put forth that really helped our area? Things were certainly way better under him than Biden, don't get me wrong. But that's not the important part. It wasn't the policy. So I get it. I get the appeal of Trump with a large swath of people. because it's what he represents. Actually giving a shit about people in this country that have been thrown overboard 40 fucking years ago. Speaking up and defending them. Telling these elite people, fuck you. Not mincing words about it. But is he the most talented? Do we need the fights with Rosie O'Donnell? Do we need the holes he digs on issue after issue? No, I don't think so. Yeah, Toby Keith, terrible. Toby Keith, one of the most American songwriters, right? Stick a boot in your ass, it's the American way. Died in the same week as Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, who has one of the most pro-American entrances. Apollo Creed's entrance right before he dies, spoiler alert, fighting Ivan Drago in Rocky IV when James Brown's singing Living in America. God, doesn't get more American than that. Yeah, Bandit, that is, Tucker sums it up purposely. All they had to do was not hate you. Trump may not love them, but he definitely doesn't hate them. Perfectly summed up. Now, you would like better. That's sad that that's the bar, but that's the bar. No, I agree with you, Keelan. It's something that separates me from many other people. I told this story when I ran in the special election for Congress in 2019. The big topic of conversation during that special election was AOC. And all of these Republicans talking about how stupid all these young people are to vote for AOC. And I was like, don't say that. They're like, why? I was like, don't you want those people to vote for you? Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing to talk to them? Are you explaining how your policies are best for them? Are you going to college campuses? Are you reaching out to young people? No, not really. Instead, you're calling them stupid. Here's what I would say. I think AOC's a disaster. I think her policies are the exact opposite direction that this country should be going in. However, I understand why young people would be attracted to the message that she's putting out there, because she is someone that seems like against sort of the orthodoxy that we see in our established politics. And I understand that these established politics, young people feel like it hasn't done anything. In fact, not only has it not done anything, but it's treated them with contempt. It blames them like they're somehow the problem. They're young, they're dumb, they're naive. They just need to work harder and keep their mouths shut. And that's not true. The system has screwed young people over a lot. And they absolutely have the right to care about the issues that concern them and to care and to vote for people as a group that they think will advocate for them. We just think you're doing it wrong with AOC. Here's what we have to offer you and why we think our policies would be best for you. That's what I would be doing. It's one of the things that I give a thumbs up to Trump. I'm not saying he's perfect, and I'm sure someone could find me evidence to the counter of this, but Trump picks a lot of enemies, but he sort of very rarely is attacking the voter. He ain't saying all the people that voted for Hillary are deplorable. He'll say, fuck Hillary, she's horrible, fuck the press, fuck that judge, fuck Rosie O'Donnell, screw them all. But he ain't saying that like about the voter. Compare that to listen to the Biden administration and the media talk. It's like if you're a Democrat right now and you're a voter and you're struggling, as you probably are economically, because almost everyone is, they treat you with contempt. Well, what's the problem? All the numbers say the economy's doing good. Why aren't people getting it? It's like you can see their contempt. What's wrong with these plebes? Shut up and vote for us. But anyways, getting back to tonight, man. You just have to, I don't know what to do. Have a sense of humor about it, I guess, right? That's how I deal with stuff. How could you watch that clip of Joe Biden, that press conference, and not laugh? I mean, and here I could be tonight, and there is some of this of I told you so's. There's a lot of I told you so's to go around. The people that deserve to hear the I told you so's, they ain't gonna give a shit. They'll deny. What do you mean there's evidence that Biden has cognitive decline? I didn't see it. He just stuttered over his words. What are you talking about? Burke-Noor, we'd kill each other. And if it came to a physical fight, I think John Burke probably could take me. BX Bullet could probably take me as well. So, at least with firearm handling, I think they're both stronger than me on that. But now, all joking aside, They said that, I remember Dylan Burns getting upset with me back in 2020 talking about Joe Biden clearly has cognitive decline. That's bullshit. Where's the evidence? How about the fact that he was just left off the hook for an obvious crime? Because, well, a jury would probably think he's just a sad old man that doesn't know where he's at. Yeah, true legend. I don't agree with that rhetoric either coming from John Burke, but trying to ally as many people as possible going into this election because I think it's that important. But so was right about the cognitive decline. Was right about the double standard. I don't like it, this is as close to an apples to apples comparison as you could get. The big issue that they were out there, oh boy, the smoking gun. Trump's recorded saying this is classified material to a writer. That's it. That's damning. Not only did he mishandle classified, those were dangerous documents he was showing to people that didn't. Oh my God, that's proof positive. That's exactly what Biden did multiple times. Recorded. But we're not going to charge him. And then just watch them squirm. The difference is when they asked Biden to give the documents back, he did, except his ghostwriter that deleted documents. But other than that, Biden gave it back, so who cares if he mishandled classified information and gave it to someone that didn't have a clearance to read it? That's not that big of a deal anyways. Even though we just spent a year saying it was a big deal when Trump did it. You just have to laugh. And it's sad because I could see exactly what they'll get rid of Biden. Then they'll act like the last 4 years didn't happen, that they weren't sitting there telling there's nothing wrong with them. And by the way, let me explain. Like someone who had an absolute terrible take on this is Sitch from Sitch and Adams show. I happen to see on Twitter. It's so bad. Sitch is another person that's like, no double standard. I don't see evidence of double standard. Okay, whatever, dude. Anyways, he has the first take's like, wow, it's really bad for Biden. That's his first tweet. And then he follows it up with, but what this does is proves that people that talk about a double standard and like a conspiracy and corruption are full of shit. Because if there was a double standard, conspiracy and corruption, why would they ever have released this document in the first place? Right. This is the argument Destiny makes all the time, which is there can't be corruption that you're talking about because if there was corruption, then everything at all times 24/7 would be corrupt. If the administration's corrupt, we would never hear any information about them being corrupt because they would murder or silence everyone that said they were corrupt. Therefore, they can't be corrupt. If a whistleblower has the ability to blow the whistle and change something corrupt from happening, it proves that nothing else corrupt is happening because another whistleblower would have came up and stopped that corruption. That's how fucking stupid these people are. So clear-cut case of a crime that Biden committed, letting him off the hook because, well, he's just a doddering old man. And his take is, wow, that's a really bad look for Biden. But this proves there's not a double standard. You did it, buddy. Nailed it. All right. This was an extra show here. Please go back and check out my interview with Ian Crossland from earlier today. I think that I probably streamed 15, 20 minutes before Ian comes on. So fast forward about 20 minutes to get to me and Ian talking. It was a pretty good conversation. Or you can go to Ian's channel. He's got it up on his channel right now, so you can check it out there. And I'll put the link to that. And please consider going to Ian's channel and giving him a thumbs up. And
robnoerr
on the channel there. I'm going to go to bed. I'm tired. I was up late last night. And my son decided to get up at 6 in the morning because he needed some milk this morning. So we were up at 6 a.m. So, of course they could have tainted. They could have gone far further. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate all of you. Have a good laugh tonight at what you see and the blatant double standard and corruption in almost every institution we have. Laugh at these Democrats beclowning themselves tonight. Get ready for the fun as they carefully craft the narrative that they're going to be able to try to spew out at you the next couple days that show actually why it's a good thing that Hurd it and charge Biden and blah, 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 but he doesn't have dementia. It'll be fun. So kick back, enjoy the ride. Thank you so much, everyone. As always, have a good one.